Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alex. I am a retired U.S. expat living in Valencia, Spain. Have been here for just about a year, straight from the great state of Kentucky in the Midwest. And there's two of us, actually, and our dog, Kiko. Today, I am going to answer all of your questions about living in Spain as an expat. That includes cost of living, how the healthcare system is, what I like most about living here, and what drives me crazy about living here. Those two are going to come at the end. They're the most requested or the most asked questions that I get. So you don't want to miss those. It's going to be fun, going to be interesting. But to kick things off, I have a little video that I want to share. It's just 10 seconds. This is the Plaza de la Virgen, and this is where I was walking about 4 hours ago, and I snapped this little video just to share because I thought it would kick off the mood for this Q&A about Valencia. And then also my buddy was with me. That's Kiko, our boxer that we brought over from the US as well. That's a completely different ordeal. We can talk about that if we get questions about it. I have a list of questions that I'm asked the most as a retired expat here in Valencia. And we're going to start with the first one. And that is, why Valencia? So, I mean, that's a natural first question to tackle. Why Spain? Why Valencia? And, you know, there's no simple answer. I mean, everybody has different requirements. They're looking for something different. But we started looking at different destinations about 5 years ago. We looked all over the globe. I mean, we looked at cities in Asia. We were doing our research. We looked at the country of Panama. We looked at Cuenca in Ecuador because we read that a lot of expats were moving there and that the cost of living was really good. We went to San Miguel de Allende in Mexico for a long weekend to explore that because a lot of expats were going there as well. We also took a work trip to Portugal, to Lisbon, fell in love with Portugal. And we thought, okay, this is it. We are moving to Portugal. That's all there is to it. No questions asked. But we started talking about it as we were learning about Lisbon and about Portugal. It just dawned on us that, do we want to learn another language? Because we had a decent foundation in Spanish. And we thought, do we want to give all that up? We're old now. We don't want to start learning a whole new language. I'd rather build on the language that we already have at least a fundamental understanding of. So we ditched the whole idea of Portugal and thought, okay, we have to move someplace where they speak Spanish. And Spain was really the only answer for us. So we planned a trip to Spain. We've been here several times. We've been to Barcelona. We knew that one was out. We're not big Barcelona fans. It's a little dark. It's a little gothic. It's a little crowded. And also it is not really kind to tourists. And we continue to see that on the news here. And we saw it before we moved. So Barcelona was out. Madrid, we started exploring. Beautiful city. Love Madrid, but it's really expensive compared to the rest of the cities in Spain. So we planned a trip to Valencia, Alicante, and Murcia. And those are the three on the East Coast that a lot of people were migrating to. So we planned a trip. It was a 10-day trip 2 years ago. It's kind of hard to remember already. 2 years ago. Came to Valencia first for 4 days. We absolutely fell hard for Valencia, head over heels. We loved the climate. We loved the people. We loved the food. We loved the city. It's a good right-sized city that is walkable. You can walk everywhere, and we do just about. What else about it? It's flat. And as we grow older, that's something that's really important to us. We want to be able to walk and be outside. We've been to Toledo, we've been to Granada and all these other places. And there's no way we can hardly manage that today, much less in 10 years or 12 years down the road. So Valencia is flat. Love that. So we fell in love with Valencia, and orange trees everywhere in the city too. I love that. Then we went from Valencia to Alicante, and we were scheduled there for 3 days. No offense to anybody that loves Alicante. It's a beautiful city, and to each their own. But I'm an honest person here, and I'm here speaking my mind and providing honest answers. It wasn't for us. from the moment that we got there, we knew that Alicante wasn't it. And while we were there, though, we kept talking about Valencia and how much we loved it and how much we enjoyed our time there. So we ended up canceling our trip to Murcia, coming back to Valencia for a few days, and continued just to be enamored with this city and its people and its food and being on the Mediterranean Sea. So we went back home and said, that's it. Let's just move to Valencia. Because if we end up not liking Valencia, we can go somewhere else later. So we ended up, I think that was in July. And then in October of 2024, we flew back and started looking for a place to live. So, 2 years later, we're here in Valencia, and that's the story. We fell hard. There's no long, we did 3 years of research on Valencia. It's like falling in love when you're 18 years old, right? You fall in love, you fall hard, you just go for it. And we've been here a year now, and there are no regrets. Again, there are some things that drive me crazy we'll talk about later, but that's how we got to Valencia. So one of the things that I do want to mention is that Just Law solicitors helped us do everything to get here. They did our home purchase for us here. They did our visas, our residency cards, our taxes, and some other forms that we don't even know about they did for us. We couldn't have done it without them. So I'm extremely appreciative that we found them and that we were able to partner with them on our move, essentially. So I've got the link to them in the description of this video. So if you want to reach out, many of you already know John from Move to Spain Facebook group. So there you have it. Let's go on to the next question that I get a lot, and that is, what does it really cost to live in Valencia? This is the big one. So this is the one that people always like put their lens up to the screen so they can see the numbers. And we're going to do just that, because I'm going to share with you our expenses for the last 4 months. And these are actual expenses in dollars. So we do transactions in euros, but we always do our own home financing in US dollars, because that's just the way we think, and it helps us. So what I'm going to show you is our expenses by category on a monthly average basis from January through April of this year. So they're 4-month averages. And let me pull that up right here. Let me make it a little bigger. There we go. So monthly expenses, you can see the bottom line right now. I mean, $3,913 per month for the two of us and a dog. A lot better than what we were doing in the US. And I do want to preface this with the fact that this does not include travel. It doesn't include when we go to Madrid next weekend. It didn't include when we went to the US in March. Those things we don't consider as being the core living expenses. These are the core living expenses. It doesn't include taxes. It doesn't include our annual healthcare premiums. So just the monthly expenses here. So if we look at these, transportation, $148 a month. It costs 21 euros per bus and metro pass for each of us. And then the rest is Uber, because once in a while it might rain or we're just too lazy to walk because we've been walked out for the day. Groceries, $8.26 a month. And I've got a slide showing you some grocery comparisons next between the US and Valencia. Restaurants and bars, $910 a month. I do want to mention that we're not holding back here. So these are real numbers. These are us doing what we want to do. And that's the way that we came to Spain. We said for the first year, let's just live the way that we want to live. If we want to go have a nice dinner on a Friday night and go out and have burgers on Sunday, let's do that. And then at the end of the 12 months, we'll assess and see how that's impacting our finances. And that's kind of what we're doing now that we've hit the 12-month mark. So this is doing everything that we want to do, eating out whenever we want to eat out. And then shopping, this is just the household items, maybe some clothes. We're not big shoppers. Utilities and bills, $564 a month. Now, the first one here, that's $130. I love this expense. And the reason I love it is because for 113 euros using Movistar, Movistar, Movistar is our provider. We get 2 unlimited cell phone plans. We get our home Wi-Fi, which is 1 gig, and we get cable TV through Movistar as well. $113. That was costing us more than $500 in the US. The subscription streaming, things like that, $139. Electric, $84. It's kind of been in that neighborhood for the last few months, but it does ramp up in the summertime up to $200, $225 for the hot months. And I'm going to tell you later how hot it actually gets that nobody ever told us before we moved here. Gas is pretty consistent. Water, the water is this $86. It's split between our tap water that we get, and we also get reverse osmosis filtration that we had. We got that like 4 months after living here because the water here in Valencia is horrendous. It is so thick with minerals. It tastes like you're drinking chalk. Even the dog rejected it. Kiko rejected it. So we all were drinking bottled water, including Kiko, for the first 4 months of living here. So we had to get this reverse osmosis system. And now everybody's happy, including Kiko. TV apps for $34. And then housekeeping, we do have a housekeeper every Friday. It's actually two ladies that come in for 3 hours and they charge 45 euros. So this is our monthly average. So we got to have that. We're retired and we're in Spain. Don't want to be cleaning house very often. Our HOA dues that we have living in our apartment in the city, and then education. You know, if you are not going to take Spanish classes or any type of classes, language classes or otherwise, you could take this out. And of course, then, you know, your monthly is going to drop down to 3,000 and whatever the math is, 250, let's say. But this is two people with Preply classes, 2 to 3 times, mostly 3 times a week. Some weeks we can't get 3, so we do 2, but we use Preply for that. And we'll talk about that in a minute too. And then 0 for medical, because we paid our premiums at the beginning and there's no copay, no out of pocket, no nothing. It's 0. The only thing we have to pay for are prescriptions, and they're really cheap here. And then Kiko costs us about $169. Her food is almost 100 of that because we order Origin because that's what she grew up on in the States. So she still gets Origin here. But $169, that's for grooming every 2 weeks, her food, and her deworming, let's say that, her deworming pill, and her flea medicine. So that's all for Kiko. So that's $3,913 per month. Now let me show you the grocery comparison, because people ask, you know, how are the grocery? Let me first say that the grocery prices here are staggering. They can be so cheap when you go to the markets. So this chart is from last April, beginning of April 2025. When we came over here, one of our last trips before the move, I went to the grocery store here around the corner from our home, Consume. There's a grocery store like every 2 blocks here in the city. And I took down the prices of the 25 items that I buy regularly at the grocery store, top 25. And this is a little bit of them. And then when I went back home, I went to our local market there and found the most similar product and put the price there. So this is a comparison here. Overall, the produce was anywhere from 50% to 75% cheaper in Valencia than it was in Kentucky at the supermarket there. Meat and dairy around 25%. And you can screenshot this if you'd like. Some items were as cheap as 75%. There were a couple of items in that chart, and I can actually give you the Excel document that I have that lists everything, up to 90% cheaper. And then again, we have that 113 euro, because I love that figure because I think that's just astonishing. But some of the things, you know, you get a baguette here. When you get a baguette at the Consume market, it's still warm out of the oven, and they're anywhere from 50 cents to 1 euro, depending on what kind you get. I remember when I got the last baguette in the US, it was $3.09. So bread here is really good, and it's a lot healthier for you. A lot of people claim that when they eat the bread here, if they were gluten intolerant in the US, they're not here. Something that I'm no doctor, discuss it with somebody else, perhaps you're a doctor. The wine, we don't buy a bottle of wine that's over $3.50, period. We drink red wine. I think the cheapest that we get here is $1.70. And the one that I like, I think, is around $2.50. Some guy with a top hat on the front of the bottle. And it's good Spanish wine. So, I mean, we're saving a fortune in wine just by these cheap prices of the wine here. Salmon was a little more expensive, and there were some things that were a little more expensive, but overall, the grocery comparison was just, it was an eye opener. And this is what we're living every day with our prices of groceries. Very economical. One of the other things that I want to mention when it comes to groceries and food and eating out, Spain, well, let's say Valencia, because that's where I am. Valencia makes it extremely easy to never have to cook again in your life. And I mean that because there are two things that we're going to talk about next that are so inexpensive. You don't need to cook, or cooking would cost you more to do it. And don't get me wrong, if you like cooking, you're going to be able to cook, and you're going to be able to go out to the market every day and get fresh foods and fruits and vegetables. But first, they have what is known as the menú del día, the menu of the day. So most every restaurant in Valencia, and in Spain for that matter, have a menu of the day, a set menu, Monday through Friday only. They rarely do it on the weekends, Monday through Friday and through lunchtime. So like 1 to 4. I know it's late and we're still getting used to that lunchtime, but 1 to 4. And what it is it's a set price, anywhere between 10 and 16 euros. And you get a starter, you get a main plate, and we're talking a big plate of food, not skimpy, a main plate, and you get dessert or coffee and a beverage, and sometimes they include bread. It's kind of different when you get down to those bottom items. But here's one, just for example. I took these pictures in the last week. Here's one for $15.90, and menu of the day, and you see your starters that you get to choose from. And that first one, let me tell you, if you don't know what torreznos are, write that word down, Torreznos, and you got to have it when you come to Spain, because I'm crazy about them. I'm absolutely crazy about torreznos. And if you see any of my videos on YouTube or TikTok, which has the same name, you'll see me eating these all the time. The main plate, the principal, you choose one of those, and then it says that you get bread, your drink, and dessert or coffee. So $15.90. Here's another one. You get, for 12 euros, you get one of these starters, a second. And again, I'm not fooling when I say that these are big plates of food. And you get dessert or coffee and your drink for 12. And this one is another one at Abastos Tito, which is not too far from here. This one's a little more expensive, $15.50. But again, a lot of food. So this is one way that people get a large meal for the cheap. So if you eat and lunch is typically the larger of the meals here, of the 5 meals here in Spain. They have 5 meals a day. So this is the largest. And then we typically will snack at night. The other is something that I will call comidas para llevar. So it's meals to go. You will find a storefront every couple of blocks throughout Valencia, and you'll see them throughout Spain. But again, just talking about Valencia today. And they're places that prepare foods, package them up so you can take them home and you heat them up for dinner. And these are delicious, and they cost anywhere from 4 euros to, say, 6.50 for a dinner. And we do this a lot. So we may go out and have a menú del día for lunch, and then go buy a comidas para llevar for our dinner. It's not as much food as the lunch, but it's a meat and a vegetable and a starch. So a comidas para llevar meal might be a thing of lasagna, individual. It might be a quarter roasted chicken with peas and potatoes, or you can have rice, or whatever the case may be. They serve fish, chicken, meats, pork. It depends on which storefront you go to. So here's one that's right around the corner that we go to a lot. El Rubio is a chain of them throughout town. I've probably seen no less than a dozen, but always fresh stuff. They always have in the back 3 different paellas. So we get paella a lot. And people eat it here nonstop, and I'm not kidding. But we get paella a lot, but we also get the chicken and get some pork and vegetables and rice. And it's typically around $5 a plate. So we bring it back home. We heat it in the oven in one of our clay cazuelas that we bought here just for that purpose. And then there's another one. This one is this one is specialty for Italian, and they have some tremendous Italian food. So we go here fairly often as well to get our comida para llevar, our meals to go, and bring them back home and heat them up. So that's something that I certainly wanted to mention, because again, they make it as if you don't need to cook because everything is so cheap when it comes to the food. So let me see if I'm just checking, make sure I covered everything. Oh, and healthcare. So healthcare for us costs, it averaged $120 for private healthcare insurance here in Spain. And, you have to get that before you come over. $120 a month. And that, again, is no out of pocket, no deductible, no copay, no nothing. Ours actually does include 50% rebate or refund. You can claim 50% of prescription prices, but the prescription prices here are so cheap, we don't go through the hassle of doing that. We probably should, shame on us, but we don't. But that's another consideration. You have to have private healthcare insurance. And then one other point is that we use Monarch Money for our budgeting here. We tried 2 different softwares in 2020 platforms in 2025 that just didn't work well for us because we're international and we're in euros and doing our budgeting in dollars. And then I looked on YouTube to see what people were using, and Monarch Money is what it's called. And you go to monarchmoney.com, and it's really user-friendly, and we do all our budgeting through there. And I've actually got a link to Monarch Money in the description of the video. And if you use that link to check out Monarch Money, I think you get 50% off of your subscription for the first year. So just check it out. But that's what we use, and it's really great. So let me see if there's any comments. Oh, there is. Just reading. El Capso 19, living in a valley in the North Coast, our fresh water comes out of the mountains and is very drinkable, so we never use bottled water. I'm so happy that you didn't have to use bottled water. That's not the case in Valencia. Mariana K, thanks for hosting this. Can you talk a bit more about the rental requirements and process for NLV? So I got to tell you, so for anything, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know legalities very well. I can't address what's required for the visa. Again, we use Just Law solicitors. They did everything. They said, you have to submit this, and this to us. And I'm a fast mover, and I was getting them documents left and right, and they did all of that for us. So again, if you go to Just Law solicitors, we use them for everything. They're not sponsoring this by any means. No, nobody is sponsoring this live event. It's just me, but I did use them for just about everything. But then you also ask about specifics about Alicante. So I'm brutally honest, and I don't want to piss anybody off, but we just didn't like it. It was too, I don't know, now I sound like an old person, too boisterous. It was too loud. There are a lot of pubs everywhere. We wanted to be in with the Spanish people. We wanted to get lost among the Spanish people. And I didn't feel like you could do that very well there. Again, a lovely city, but when we were out with realtors there, I would always ask when we were looking, who lives here in the neighborhoods? Well, a lot of Germans here, a lot of Austrians here, a lot of Swedes are over here. That's great, but I wanted to be surrounded by, when I say I mean we, it's interchangeable. Wanted to be surrounded by Spanish people. And, we're in the city of Valencia, and we know all of the neighbors in this building. They're all Spanish, and they're all friendly, and they're just nice as can be. And they help us learn our Spanish. And that about Alicante it just felt, this sounds awful because I'm an expat here, but it was just too many expats. So again, don't hate me for saying that, but that's just what I know. I don't know Torrevieja. I've heard great things about it. But the best way to learn about these places is to go visit. I did hear that when you get down past Alicante to some of those coastal communities, I forget who was telling me, but last week they said that it gets, I think it was my Spanish teacher, and he showed me videos about it. There's so many people in those little motor scooters on the sidewalks that it's hard to walk because there are so many on the sidewalks there. So thanks for the questions. I'm going to go back to, let's see what we have next. So the healthcare insurance, what about health insurance as an expat in Spain? So this is one, I've read in countless places that the healthcare in Spain ranks number 7 in the world. 7, 8, 9, one I saw 6, but it's around there. And I believe it. I've gone several times. I mean, I've stumbled on the uneven surfaces here, sidewalks, and sliced my hand open and had to go. I fell when I was walking on something, and I've never stumbled in my life. So there's a moral to that story. Get shoes that are stable when you come to Spain. But you know that you have to have private health insurance before you move here to apply for your visa. So you have to get it before you move here. The first year we used ASSA, ASSA. I had nothing but trouble with them. Absolute trouble with them. They were a nightmare, and that I'm not shy to say. So we switched to Sanitas at the end of last year, beginning effective January 1st of this year. Love Sanitas. ASSA didn't have great clinics. They didn't have clinics specific for them. And so it would take them up to 6 weeks to authorize something for me. I had a cancer scare. They had a biopsy, something 6 weeks before they could authorize it. And, I find that inexcusable. But Sanitas has a clinic here and several locations, and you go for your doctor appointment. And if your doctor appointment's at 2 in the afternoon, you show up at 2, you are in his office at 2 o'clock and you are out at 2:15 like clockwork. It's wonderful. And their app is super useful. So not trying to pitch anything to Sanitas, but we're just super happy with Sanitas. And again, that's about $120 per month. And it's cheap, because in the US, that would be anywhere from $700 to $1,200 a month. And that price is without any copays, as I've mentioned. But it's cheap because the government helps subsidize the private healthcare system here. So, of course, they take care of the social system, but they subsidize the private as well. Now, what I've heard is, with my ear to the ground, is that a lot of expats will have both. You'll have your private and you'll have your social, and we'll be eligible for the social insurance after 12 months of having our Padrón. We got our Padrón the beginning of last July. So in July, we'll be eligible to apply for social medicine here. Now, the big surprise to me about social medicine is that you have to pay for it. I just thought maybe I was just ignorant, but I thought social medicine, everybody gets it for free. Because I remember I went to the UK where they have social medicine, and again, I fell. I said I never fall. Maybe I do. I'm sure a martini was involved. But anyway, I went to their hospital in the UK and everything was free. So here it's not the case. So I've heard that the price for social medicine for an expat is anywhere between $150 and $170 a month. And that you go to the private side for your specialty clinics, and for things that are more grave, you go to the social system. Something to look into when we get there, but we probably will be applying and have both. Don't know that you need to, but again, just relaying what I hear. Let me check comments. All right, cool, everybody's good. No additional comments. So let me go to the next one. Do you need Spanish to live in Valencia? Well, Valencia is not Madrid and Barcelona, where there's a lot of English. And I think it would be a little difficult to coast in English in Valencia. And here's why. When I go to the hospital, when I go to the clinic, just call it the hospital, the registration people don't speak English. The triage nurse doesn't speak English. The x-ray tech doesn't speak English. The doctors don't speak English. They might know a few words, but they don't speak English. When I go get a haircut, he doesn't speak English. When I go to the grocery store, they don't speak English. When I go to the butcher, they don't speak English. The vet where I take Kiko, nobody speaks English. It would be really difficult if I didn't know anything in Spanish. So if you go to a restaurant, I think maybe one and a half persons out of five will speak English. But everywhere else, again, this isn't a larger city with a lot of English people here. Now, remember, there's a whole Valenciana language here in Valencia, in the autonomous community of Valencia. That is never a problem because people switch over to Castilian Spanish. But I think it would be really hard to coast without Spanish. No coasting here. So when we got here, we had a pretty good understanding of Spanish. I spent summers in Mexico with my cousins growing up, so I had a good fundamental understanding of the language. But when we got here, we went to AIP Language Institute and took 2-hour classes every day for 2 months, just intensive, trying to, get back on that bicycle and start riding it again. And that was fantastic. We had some great teachers there. The link for that school is in the description. Then we were burnt out and we took a break for a few months, and then we enrolled with Preply, and that's an online tutor language training thing. It's face-to-face like this. It's just not live. I mean, it's live, but you're not sitting together. You're sitting across a computer from each other. And we've been doing that for 6 months. So I think now we're either at is it B2? I forget which is higher. We're between the B and the C. So I feel like we're probably about 70% fluent, 75% fluent. And if you're interested, I do have a TikTok account with the same @QuickTourGuy, GUY, where I do easy Spanish. I do videos from some of my experiences here in Valencia in Spain. Last night, we were at the Plaza de Ayuntamiento after dinner and cocktails, and there was a street show, and I'm just speaking in Spanish. They're only like 15 seconds long, but follow me there if you want to practice or learn some easy Spanish. I'd be happy to have you. But there's also a Preply link in the description, and if you use that link, you can get a trial class. They always start with a trial lesson, but that'll be 70% off. So Preply gave me that opportunity for you to get 70% off of one class. And I have my teacher's name in there too, because he's fantastic. He's out of Sevilla. But, overall, I think that Spanish is absolutely necessary to live here in this city. Checking questions again. Okay, everybody's good. I'm going to continue with my next one. And this is what do you love most about living in Valencia? So hands down, the thing that I love most about living in Valencia are the people. And this is actually, all encompassing for Spain. The people are the nicest, friendliest, most respectful people that I have ever met in my life. On first interaction or glance, it appears that they have a little facade, a little wall around them. But the moment that you engage with them, they are just, I can't speak highly enough about them. I'll stop there. But the people I just adore. The location of Valencia being on the Mediterranean Sea, so you get the freshest seafood. You can go to the beach, put your toes in the sand and in the water. We don't do that. We're not beach people, but it's nice to know that the beach is there. But the location of Valencia, where it is in Spain and where it is in Europe, there are nonstop flights to almost everywhere in Europe from Valencia, nonstop, no connections, to the Czech Republic, Romania, Bulgaria, France, of course, the UK, Italy. We just went to Italy last month for several days, nonstop from Valencia to Rome. Germany, Poland, you can go to. All of Scandinavia, you can go everywhere. And the flights are cheap. They're like $35 on Ryanair, or you can pay $200 and go on Iberia Airlines. But the location here is great. Europe is our backyard now. The food and the market culture. I like that everything is fresh. It's a farm to table or farm to market mentality or culture here. Everything's fresh, seasonal. For example, artichokes. The fruit lady up the corner, she's fruit and vegetables, but we call her the fruit lady, taught us how to cut and prepare artichokes. Never did that in my life in the US. Now I can do 4 in like 10 minutes. I love it. But I've been making artichokes, roasting artichokes maybe twice a week for the last few months. They're out of season in the next couple of weeks. I won't see them again until later in the year. Brussels sprouts went out of season 2 months ago. I can't find a Brussels sprout to save my life. So I like that things come and go. They're not reliant on food imports. And, it's just great, fresh. And speaking of foods, I don't want to say zero, because I'll never say zero, but there are next to no preservatives, chemicals, GMOs, all these things in the food. They're healthier. Foods have lower salt here, which is mandated by the government recently, I think 2 years ago. So there's lower salt. I had my blood work done a couple of months ago, and all of my lipids, cholesterol, triglyceride, HDL, blah, 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 all the other ones, everything came back within range. Everything. My lipids haven't been in range for 25 years. And it's from the foods that I'm eating here. And I haven't changed my diet other than eating foods from Spain, from Valencia. I'm still eating sausages and steak, and we eat a lot of chicken and vegetables, but I feel good. I feel healthier just because of the foods that we're having here. Another thing that I like: safety. Any hour, any neighborhood, zero concerns. We had a friend, a girl friend of ours, come visit a month ago, and she had her own place in Rusafa neighborhood, which is about a 15-minute walk from here. She's like 5'1". She's Maltese descent, so she's like Ma from the Golden Girls, but younger. She walked back and forth, said she never had a problem, never felt unsafe, and we feel the same. No guns here, which is a nice change, because when we left our last home in the U.S., every morning we would wake up and hear about 5 people getting shot. So this is nice not to have that. The tranquilo attitude. When we first got here, everybody was telling me tranquilo, tranquilo, and I took offense because I thought it was an insult, telling me to calm down, calm down. But it's really just, tranquilo, everything's okay. And now I've learned to appreciate it. I still get told to tranquilo a lot, but it's just the calm attitude here. We walk a lot. I love that we can walk here. You got Turia Park that goes through the middle of the city, 9 kilometers of green space. It's the prior riverbed of Turia River that they turned into a park in the late 1950s. Beautiful. And again, we walk 3 to 7 miles every single day. And it's flat, so we love that. And then 2 last things real quick that I love about Valencia. One is that you can get a glass of wine at a restaurant for €2.50 to €3. Love that. And the second thing is that the water pressure here in Spain is the best water pressure I've ever experienced. I mean, it annoys us. It's so good, because when we turn on the tap in the sink, it goes everywhere because it comes out real strong. So now with that, I'm going to flip it and say, what drives you crazy about Valencia? That's the other question that I get. Then I'll check the comments again, see if there's new questions. The driver's license process is insane. I just got my Spanish driver's license. I passed the practical test last week on our 1-year anniversary. It's not an easy process to go through. We started 8 months ago, and 8 months later, I now have my driver's license. You have a theoretical. Now, this doesn't count for the people from the UK, because you all can come here and just swap your license for a Spanish license. If you're from the US, which is kind of odd for me because we drive on the same side as they do in Spain, you have to go through the whole process. So you have to study and take the written exam. You have to enroll in an auto school. It's mandatory for the practical side of it. And then there's a wait list of, ours was 5 months before you can get in the class. But the whole process, and even the driving here, you pull up to an intersection, there's like 15 stoplights. Or one intersection might have a stop sign and a stoplight, a yield sign, and a blinking yellow above it. And it's the weather surprise. We moved here for 365 days of this blue sky, kind of like we thought San Diego had. We were wrong. We had a cooler, I don't want to say cold, it's not cold, but we had a really cool winter, and it was awfully rainy. And people said that this was the worst winter that Valencia had seen in 50 years. So I'm expecting better next winter. But it wasn't at all what we expected. But the bigger surprise was how insufferable the summer is here. Again, thinking San Diego weather. It is as hot. I've been to Singapore. It's as hot as Singapore, as hot and humid as Singapore. Nobody is out. Kiko didn't want to go out. I got to show you. Did I show you a picture of Kiko? Just so you. That's our Kiko. That's our boxer. So she came with us from the U.S. And you know that because she has a docked tail. Here, it's illegal to dock a dog's tail. So people are always like, oh, she's a cute dog. She's from the U.S. But she came with us. Anyway, she didn't even want to go out. People go north. They go to the mountains. They go to the North Shore. A lot of people have second homes We don't. So we sat inside a lot. I mean, it was that hot. It's like walking into a sauna for 2 full months. So we've already planned our mountain getaway for this summer, just to be prepared. Now this one's really serious. Dog poop on the sidewalk. They are Spain is extremely dog friendly. Dogs have a legal right to go into any building unless it is posted on the door that they are not allowed, period. And now trains are opening up certain cars for dogs too. However, there's a lot of poop on the sidewalk and it drives me crazy. And at least once a month, we're having to bring our shoes back in and wash them. Kiko is very good about going in the grass. We always pick up, people don't want to hear that, but I mean, at least we do it. So if you bring a dog over here, please pick up, because it's disgusting. And that and cigarette butts on the ground. Everybody here smokes and they just I'm not judging you if you smoke, good for you. But if you're going to smoke, don't throw your butt down on the ground, because the sidewalks are littered with cigarette butts around the trees, in the parks, on the sidewalks, in the street, everywhere. And, they have street sweepers and sidewalk sweepers coming through every week, but it's a real point of contention with me. I don't like it. Clean up your poop and your cigarette butts. And then now I'm just nitpicking. When you come over to Valencia, you will see that nobody moves on the sidewalk. You'll be walking like this. You can't see my hands. Nobody moves on the sidewalk. You think I'm crazy? Wait till you get here. You'll be like 4 people walking straight at you. Nobody will move. So I'm not going to say anything more because I want to hear your comments about it when you come back over here. And then the last thing is that tuna is put on everything. I like tuna, but here it can be a little strong. They put tuna on the salad, put tuna in your potato salad, put tuna on everything. So now I'm just nitpicking. I'm going to look for comments. Okay, we're doing good. So the last thing that I'm going to talk about, and then we're going to close out, is what do I miss? So I've been back to the US twice since we've lived in Valencia. And each time I take a medium-sized empty suitcase, and it is loaded up when I come back, because there are certain products that we're used to that I just can't find here. Or if I do, they're extremely expensive. So there's a reason why I'm bringing them back. So these are the things that were in the last haul when we came back in March from the US. And so Dawn detergent, it's crazy. And of course I had to parafilm it, get some parafilm and wrap around the top of it. Their big brand here is called Fairy, and it doesn't suds up like Dawn detergent. So I need my Dawn detergent. Stain remover, Irish Spring soap. Can't find that here, and I'm an Irish Spring soap kind of man. NyQuil, can't go through winter without it. They don't have it here. Advil, they prescribe paracetamol for everything. This is something I wanted to mention earlier under the healthcare thing. It's my one complaint. Paracetamol is Tylenol. It does nothing for me. So even after you have, stitches in your hand, you get Tylenol, paracetamol. So Advil works a lot better. So I brought that back. I always get Kiko's toys because I like Kong, K-O-N-G toys. So bring back a ton of those. Sweet relish I bring back from Costco because they don't have sweet relish here. And with all this tuna, how are you going to make tuna salad if you don't have sweet relish? And I do want to mention with tuna and cereal, because I have cereal right next to sweet relish. Here in Spain, the cereal aisle is really small. I mean, it's literally like just one of those shelving units. But the tuna aisle is all the way down. All sorts of tin fish, tin tuna, tin clams, tin mussels. I think they've got it backwards because they don't have a big diversity of cereal. So I bring back cereal. Frank's hot sauce, they do have here, but it's not hot. I don't find a lot of seasonings here in Spain. I'm sure they don't need them because everything's fresh and good, but I still need my Costco taco seasoning. I need big thing of ancho chili powder and chili powder to make chili. T-shirt and socks, Triscuits, and then you'll find Ritz crackers somewhere. Yeah, almost next to it. I need my Ritz crackers. I eat them all the time. Pop-Tarts, don't talk to me. Ziploc bags, because when I put stuff in Ziploc bags here, it goes through the bottom. And then a Sunday calendar, because we tried our best to adapt to a calendar that starts with Monday, but then we kept missing appointments. So we had to get a Sunday calendar and bring it back. Dried Mexican chilies, because I love cooking with dried Mexican chilies, and allergy pills. So That's what I brought back in the last haul. These are the main things that I miss about the US. Not much else, I hate to say. But with that, I think this is a wrap. I appreciate everybody being here. I'm going to do these every third Saturday of each month. So please hit that subscribe, hit the like if you enjoyed this information. It means a lot to me and means a lot to the channel. But when you subscribe, hit that bell too, because that way you'll be notified when I schedule these lives going forward. And again, I'm here to help. I'm here to answer questions so you get the most out of it. And so you can make an informed decision based on somebody's experience who's been here a year. So, without further ado, I suppose I will just say that that is a wrap. And I appreciate you watching. Thank you.